Hi there, my name is Loewe. Welcome to my channel where I discuss everything between Hermes and grocery bags. In today's video, I wanted to discuss whether Loewe is still worth it in 2024. If you've seen my unwishlist video from a couple of weeks ago, then you already know that Loewe is not on my wish list anymore, so I do not anticipate to buy any more bags from them in 2024. While not too long ago, I actually really loved this brand. This used to be my favorite brand. And to some extent, I would say that these bags that I have here, the Puzzle, the Flamenco, some of these are also still my favorite bags. So as I was thinking about it, I decided that I wanted to give a little bit more context and explain to viewers what I think is and is not worthwhile anymore about Loewe in this day and age. Before we get started, let me just say and emphasize that these are just my opinions. By no means do I mean to offend anybody, but I hope that these considerations might be helpful if you are still considering stepping into Loewe, especially as a new buyer. So the first thing I want to touch upon is the prices. A couple of years ago, this was still a pretty affordable brand, which was also related to the fact that these bags would actually go on sale by the end of the season. And they would be pretty heavily discounted. I got both of these bags with, I think, 40 to 50% discount, which especially for the Puzzle in the small size is really good because this was not even a seasonal color. The Flamenco I have here is in a warm desert, which is a bit more of an odd color, but it is not an odd color to Loewe. This is a color that is pretty standard to them. So I think that was about 2.5 years ago, and ever since I've really seen a drastic change in the pricing and the promotional model of Loewe. So the prices have gone up and the promotions have gone down. Nowadays, if you want to have a bag from Loewe, brand new from the boutique or an online store, you will just need to put down a lot more money for them. Discounts go up to, I would say, about 30%, and those are really for the bags that are in colors that there's just not a lot of demand for, to put it nicely. So whatever baseline we had of the worthwhileness of Loewe has certainly decreased over the past 2.5 years, simply because prices have only gone up and the discounts have only gone down. Secondly, I personally think that Loewe has always been a little bit of a one-trick pony, although I do have to say it's more of a two-trick pony. So the first bag that they got really popular over is definitely the Puzzle bag. This bag has been all over the internet and it's well justified because this is indeed an amazing bag. The other bag that became really popular but that I never got around to buying is their basket bag. I think about, I guess 2 summers ago, this was really the basket bag that everybody was going for. Personally, I'm just not spending designer type of money on a seasonal bag. It's part of my bag rule, so I never got that one. So these two bags have become very popular. I think they had a reasonable moment with their Luna bag, I think last year, but most of their bags just haven't ever really become very popular. And of course, the overall popularity of the full range of bags that a brand sells doesn't need to be a determining factor in whether you want to get a bag from this particular brand, yes or no. I think it's more to say that Loewe just hasn't had a lot of traction ever since the Puzzle and the basket bag. And I just feel like whatever they have been releasing recently, it doesn't appeal all that much to me, but it also seems that it doesn't appeal all that much to other consumers out there. And when there's just so much to choose from, people just prefer to spend their money elsewhere. Kind of related to that, I personally think that they haven't come out with that much interesting over the last couple of years. So when J.W. Anderson came into Loewe, I think he in principle did a good mix of working on some of the classics and introducing some new styles. J.W. Anderson thought of designing the Puzzle bag. That was, of course, a major success in his time. He also created the hammock, but I think in terms of design, those are the two, so the Puzzle and the hammock, that really haven't been topped ever since. If I'm looking at the current designs or the more recent designs of Loewe, I think they just lean quite a bit on what has been done already. And that was originally not the reason that I fell in love with Loewe. So more recently they had the Luna bag. I think that was just very much in line with the whole range of moon-shaped bag, so to say. So LV had one, Loewe had one, the contemporary brands followed up. So I think Coach had one, Polen had one that's very popular. There was the QB bag. I see it now again in the Bottega Wallace bag that is very similar. Overall, not a very exciting design to me. They came out with the squeeze bag, I think last year, but to me that is just their interpretation of the Chanel 22. And then most recently they did sort of a re-edition of the Flamengo. Quite frankly, I think it looks like something that Bottega made. It just reminds me quite a lot of the Bottega pouch. If I'm going to get something that looks like a Bottega pouch and I can have Bottega quality leather, then I think I would prefer to have a Bottega pouch because they were sort of the OG to do it. I know there's always going to be this leaning of brands on each other's designs because there's only so many things yet you can do with a bag, I suppose. But I'm missing the creativity and the originality that initially made me fall in love with Loewe when I encountered the brand for the first time. And then last up, which is the thing that has really bothered me the most, is that they are messing with their classics. Fortunately, not all of their classics, but just the mere fact that they are changing their classics worries me, because then if you buy a classic, you never really know if it is actually a classic or if you are buying one of their prime bags, which is going to look dated at some point in time. So I already just brought up the example of the new Flamengo bag. I think that doesn't really look like the Flamengo bag anymore. In this case, it's a bit of a question of whether that bag is going to replace the original Flamengo bag. But what has already happened, of course, is that the traditional puzzle has been switched out for the puzzle edge bag. Honestly, I haven't really heard from one content creator that they prefer the puzzle edge over the regular puzzle. It's most likely easier to make that way, but I don't think it is an improvement to the design. And don't get me wrong, I think it's perfectly fine if brands update their bags at some point in time to sort of lift them up to more modern standards, like Chanel introducing the puffy quilts to their classic flat bag. You can think of functionality improvements like the Lady Dior bag, which originally had the zipper. They exchanged it from the flap, but it didn't really make a fundamental change to the design and the aesthetic of the bag, which I do see now with Loewe making these more fundamental changes to the bag, if that makes sense. I just don't like that people who know this brand will instantly be able to say like, oh, this bag is pre this year and this bag was pre 2024 because this is not an edge. I really like brands to indeed stick to the design that they've chosen, just so that the classics don't start looking outdated and they actually have something timeless. Otherwise it starts to feel more contemporary to me, I suppose. There's also quite a lot of bags that are just made for a year or so, like for example the QB and the Luna. Those are bags that are still sold, but I really don't see them on the Loewe website anymore. If you are into those sorts of things, that's perfectly fine, of course. Quite often I am just buying classics, assuming that that is something that's going to be representative of the brand for the long run. So just to sum it up, to me personally, Loewe is not that worthwhile anymore, simply because the prices have gone up. That's just a very practical matter. I feel like customers are disengaging with the brand a little bit because most of them already have the puzzle and or the basket bag, and nothing else from Loewe has become extremely popular. And also the new designs that they bring out lean quite a bit on what other brands have already done. And again, in that sense, I feel like they are not pulling a lot of traction with customers in the luxury space. Well, they should, because they have increased the prices so much that we are now looking to Loewe to be more than just that good quality brand, but to actually inspire us with the products that they put out. And finally, if you are buying a bag from Loewe which you think is a classic, you just don't have the guarantee that it's going to be a classic. Whatever style you buy, it might change substantially over time, which may make your bag look quite dated sooner than you would expect it to be. Are there then any reasons left why you should buy Loewe? I do think from my own experience and from what I've heard online, that generally the quality of the Loewe bags is really there. So if you're going to buy a piece from them, you can be fairly safe in knowing that you're getting something that's good quality. Of course, if you are just looking for quality, this is not per se a brand that you need to buy, because there's other brands at lower prices now, like Ferragamo, that will do an amazing job with great quality leather. So with all of that, my recommendation would be that if you still want to get a piece from Loewe, especially if you don't care all that much for which style it is going to be, you might be best off just going the pre-loved route to see if you can get some of the pre-2020 styles, I guess, or even get a vintage bag. I think this brand has been around for more than a century, so there's also plenty of vintage bags to choose from. So these are my 2 cents on the matter. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or you found it useful, give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to my channel as well. Help a girl out and click that button. And for now, remember, there's a style in a situation and a taste for everything, so don't judge, wear whatever the bag you like. Until next time, and as we'd say in Dutch, doei!